and welcome to Career Chats Live, Longwood's LinkedIn Influencers Week, brought to you by Longwood University. So Longwood University is a co-educational public institution offering more than 100 majors and minors and concentrations. And if you haven't heard of us before, we're also hosting the U.S. Vice Presidential Debate this fall. It's on October 4th, and you don't want to miss it. So my name is Paige Rollins, the Assistant Director of Live Digital Events here at Longwood University. I'm so excited. We're halfway through Longwood's LinkedIn Influencers Week with JT O'Donnell, our good friend, career guru, and LinkedIn influencer, as she shares the fastest way to find a job you love. So just some housekeeping things. JT will give a presentation. There'll be plenty of time for Q&A afterwards. But if you peek at the top of your screen, you'll see a Q&A box where you can submit questions live, as well as a chat section where you can build your network and join in the discussion and talk with everybody else who's in this webinar today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to JT, and we'll get started.
Thanks, Paige. Hey, everyone. So good to have you all here. So I'm going to do my very best to bring this screen up. Let's see if I can do this properly. And we'll do a big drum roll. Hopefully I'm doing this right. Give me a second, and then we'll be good to go. So we'll bring this up. And I think I've almost got it. Let's bring the presentation up. Hopefully everybody can see it. Oh, it's loading. There we go. Paige, can you see that okay? Perfect. Yeah. All right. First technology hurdle completed. So today we're going to be talking about how to find a job you love. And as we said, faster, because everybody wants things faster these days. And I'm really excited to share with you a methodology that I have been teaching for a while now. It's 4 steps to greater career satisfaction. And to give you a little idea around that, where this all comes from, I'm not making this up. This presentation is actually based on a lot of data. Before I became a career coach, which I've been a career coach and in this industry for over 15 years, and I say that and I can't even believe that I've been in it this long. But even before that, I was in HR and recruiting and staffing for many years. So I'm very familiar with both sides of the house, not only what companies are looking for and how they recruit and how they look for talent, but also what talent is going through, what all of you are going through as you're trying to find that job that you really love and makes you feel satisfied and complete. So there's a lot of research there. Also, I've worked with over 5,000 participants in the coaching platform, the company that I've built. There's a team of 8 coaches here and myself. And in the last 6 years, we've worked with over 5,000 individuals. So that gives us access to trends. We can see what's happening out in the job search world. We can see what people are running into, and it enables us to build methodologies like the one you're going to learn today so that you can get the results you're looking for. And I tell people that because it's funny. We all use doctors and dentists and lawyers and accountants and personal trainers. We all know to go to these specialists when we want to advance in our life in some way. But yet it hasn't become ingrained in us yet to seek a career coach. For some strange reason, we all think we're supposed to do it on our own. Or even worse, to be honest with you, counsel from friends and family who really don't know us and really aren't experts in that field. So it is important that when you're thinking about finding a job you love, that you really seek the right resources. So pat yourself on the back today, because if you're watching this, you're already a step in the right direction. You're already starting to seek out the answers from people who have been doing this for a long time. And last thing, like I said, I've been in this industry for a long time, but I'm a job seeker too, right? Over 30 years of me being on the quest to find work that was fulfilling. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way. In fact, a lot of my coaching practice comes from what I learned as a professional and what to avoid. And so with that in mind, we're going to get started, and I'm going to start to break it down for you. So the first thing I want to talk about, because we've got to break your mindset here today, is what is love? And every time I hear that, I think about that song, What is Love? And I feel like I should start bouncing my head a little bit. The Watabi Brothers, I'm dating myself. You guys would know that from the 80s. But that whole idea of what is love is a big deal, because a lot of people, I find, number one mistake they make is that they're not really in love, or they're not seeking love of a job, love of a career. They're seeking, or they're experiencing, I should say, lust. And lust, as we all know, is very different from love, both in real love when we're seeking relationships and when we're seeking a job. And so let's take a closer look at that, because I want you to recognize the signs of lust and the signs of love when it comes to a career. So when you are lusting after a career, when you're just kind of wishing for that perfect thing, you are more focused on external things like the company's image and the benefits that they provide. You're interested in getting hired by them because you really want to be able to say, I got hired by so-and-so, but you're not really focused on what's the work I'd be doing every day. right? And even still, you want to talk about all the pluses of working there. You know, what are the bennies and the perks and things that you're hearing, and not really focused on the work that's involved, right? Because work is work. We're paid to do a job. We're businesses of one providing a service, right? You also just see yourself doing the job as a means to an end, right? It's a job, it gives me prestige, I get my money, and then I go do my own thing. And you don't see yourself even spending a lot of time with the people there. That's not your focus. I don't care about the employees. Like, if you just pay me and you're a hot company and I'm looking good because I work for you, then it's all good. And I hear that a lot, right? I hear a lot of people in desperation say, look, I just want a company that will pay me and you know, give me what I need and I'll be fine. That's all I need. And you might not think that's lust, but it is, because you're really just focused on what it can give you. Love is about reciprocation. Love is about mutual trust and respect and wanting to spend time together. So if you look at that second side, when you really find a job you love, you imagine spending a lot of time there. You would be okay spending more than 8 hours a day there. You get lost in the conversations about the work itself, not the company, but the work itself, the stuff that you're doing and how it's changing that customer's life, right? Or changing even the world in some cases. You're really involved in pleasing and exceeding expectations. You want your teammates, you want that company to be proud of you, and you want to feel like you're earning your keep and contributing there, right? And that they're feeling the value from you. You work there because you feel like a better person. You feel like the work that you do there makes you a better friend, a better significant other, a better brother, a better sister, a better community member, whatever. It brings out the best in you, that work. And you even want to get to know your teammates on a personal level. These are people that you identify with. These are people that you say, gosh, I could see spending time outside of work with them. They feel like my tribe, that my family. That is when you found a job that you love. And so I probably could do a quick show of hands here, virtual hands here, but I bet if I asked everybody out there, which one do you really want? Really, really. We're all going to raise our hands for that love, aren't we? Of course we are. So let's talk about how you find that, because finding love, you know, we hear in the romantic version of finding a significant other that, you know, oh, love at first sight, or it happened to me unexpectedly, or don't look for love, or don't. In the case of a job, you do look for love. You do focus on it. If you want love, you invest in love. And so I want you to remember this insider tip. The more you commit to seeking and nurturing real love in your career, the more you commit to it, the more you invest in this idea of I'm going to find a job and a career that I love, the better your chances of finding it. That is the truth. When it comes to career, it is about you committing and investing in figuring that out. Okay? So how do you do that? Because that's really the whole point, right? Yes, JT, I want to be in love with my career. That's why I'm here, but how do I get there? So step one, you need to know what makes you attractive as an employee, okay? And I'm not talking physical attractiveness. I'm talking about your business of one. So what service do you provide that adds enough value that it justifies the cost of hiring you? And that is something that most of us don't reflect upon enough. We don't understand enough about ourselves. We don't do enough self-assessment to be able to say to somebody, I know what my professional strengths are. I know specifically how they save or make the company money. And I know for a fact that when I do these things, it saves or makes the company enough money to justify my salary. Because that's how business works. If you want to earn more in business, you have to provide more. You have to either have more customers or you have to provide more value that's worth more money. Now, since you're a business of one and you're typically working with one customer at a time, then the way that you can earn more money and grow is to add more value. So you have to know what your value is and you have to anticipate that, right? Now, how do you do that? Well, I always tell people you can start by identifying your workplace persona or personas, because a lot of us have more than one. And I'm going to pop you over here today because the one thing I'm going to share with you, we got so involved in this in our own coaching practice that we built a quiz that you can look at. And I'm going to bring this up so you can see it. Hopefully everyone can see that there. If you visit our site, CareerHMO, there is a quiz called the Career Decoder. It's Career Decoder Quiz, Career-Decoder-Quiz. And I can send that out to everybody afterwards. And this quiz is really great because if you go there I'll show you myself. I'll bring it up for you. So career decoder quiz, here we go. You can take this quiz, and what it does, and if you look there, I'm going to put this in the screen, it tells you your top 3 personas. Now you'll see that there are 8: mentor, researcher, warrior, super connector, educator, builder, optimizer, and visionary. So all of us out there today, we have these personas. They are how we like to work, how we like to bring value to the workplace, how we earn our keep. And while we can be a little bit of all of these, and while we probably could do all of these, each of us generally gravitates towards 1 to 3 of these as being our most predominant or our most popular. And that's what this quiz, it's free to take, will teach you what your top 3 are. And it's really important because if you know that your top skill is a mentor, then finding work that you love will involve you mentoring people. If you love numbers and researching statistics and finding answers and information to tough situations and gathering data, you're likely a researcher. And you're going to love work that involves allowing you to do that on a more regular basis. If you're somebody who can take an existing system or a company process, see where it's broken, reorganize it, fix it, streamline it, make it work better, then you're an optimizer. And you're going to be happiest when you're doing that, and so on and so forth, right? If you're an educator, you love to teach. If you're a builder, you love to create. And it's all in there for you to figure out. But I bet most of you here today, if you were here with me in the room, if I was to look at you and to say, what do you bring as a business of one? How do you add value? Could you give me that answer? And if you can't, then I can tell you all right now, this is where you need to start. Because when you know how you like to create value for an employer, that's when you can start to narrow in on jobs that are fit. And we see this all the time. Someone will come to me and say, I am miserable in my job. I hate this job. I go there every day. I don't like it. And what we'll find out is that the job is primarily researcher and this person's a super connector. They want to be out connecting, talking to people, and instead they're in a cubicle and all they're doing is researching on the internet. Of course they're going to hate the job. It's not a match for their personas. So each of us, it's on us to figure out what that is. And you shouldn't be expecting an employer to figure it out. You need to know what it is, and then you need to seek those opportunities where you would be able to leverage that. Okay? All right, so there you have it. Career Decoder Quiz, finding your persona. Let's bring this back up. There are other tools and resources out there. There are so many different free assessment tools that you'll see out there as well. It's always good. I guess I became an assessment junkie, so to speak, because like all of you, I went through school and I graduated and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I really struggled to find it. And there were no textbooks, there was no coaching back then that helped me figure that out. And so I love to take all those kinds of quizzes because they always teach me something about myself that I feel like I can bring and then market when I'm looking for that work that I really love. Okay, step 2, everyone. Now that you know what makes you attractive, guess what? You got to figure out what you're attracted to. And I always joke with people about this because if you were out looking for a significant other, what you wouldn't do is send out a massive Facebook message to everyone and say, hey, everybody, I'm looking for a significant other. And that's it, right? Because if you don't give them some context about what you're looking for in a person, in a significant other, what's going to happen? They're going to all of a sudden start sending you people that are probably not a good match, right? Or they're going to be overwhelmed and not know what you're looking for and probably not send people that are a good match. And then you're going to realize these people aren't a good match and you're going to have to say, no, that's not what I was looking for. And then those people are going to get frustrated with you because you didn't tell them that you weren't looking for that. So it's just a bad idea. You don't want to do that in dating, and you don't want to do that in your career either. I see people all the time say, I'm looking for a job. If you know about a good job, let me know. Or even worse, they'll say, I'm open to anything. Send it my way. No, you're not. You are not open. This is about falling in love with a job. This is about you focusing in on what you're attracted to. And so how do you do that? How do you start to figure out the kinds of companies and opportunities you'd be attracted to? Well, the foolproof way to do this is create something called an interview bucket list. And we teach this in our platform all the time. An interview bucket list is a list of 10 companies. You start with 10, and obviously you want to grow this list over time. But to begin, all of you have the homework assignment of finding 10. And these 10 companies are companies where the product or the service that they provide, the reason they're in business, is something you admire, something that you respect, that you are impressed by, that you trust. Not the company, not the business, not that you heard that they're a great employer and they do cool things. The product or the service, the thing that they're in business for, really wows you. So first you look for those companies where that product or that service gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling. And then you stop yourself and you say, I'm having a very positive emotional response to this company. I'm feeling attracted to this company. Why is that? And if you stop for a moment and you really dig deep and say, what is it about this company that I'm attracted to? And more importantly, where did that come from? How did I learn to be attracted to this company? Because somewhere in your life's work, somewhere in your personal or professional past, you've had an experience with that product or that service, or you've had an experience with the problem that product or service solves, and it means something to you. It's a positive thing. And that's how you know that you're connected to that company. And that's a company you would put on your bucket list. Don't get hung up on whether or not they're near you and you could work for them if they're in your backyard. This first time you build an interview bucket list is really for you to start to look for the patterns in what you're attracted to. And again, the way they get on the list is you can say, I know why I'm attracted to them. I know what it is about them. And I'm going to give you a hypothetical, or not even a hypothetical, story, so that you can kind of wrap your head around it. I had a gentleman come to me. He had been in the paint business for many years. He managed a paint store. A really nice guy, didn't love his job. It paid the bills. They had great money, great perks, great benefits, a little management training program. He was doing okay, but he didn't love his job. And they had a life event. His father passed away unexpectedly. And when he went to take care of his mother, he found out that the family finances were in really bad shape. His dad owned a business. Everything was not in good shape. And it was really possible that his mother could lose everything. And so for the first time in his life, he had to step up and step in and just figure this all out. And he had to teach himself finances from scratch. He just had to get in there, figure this whole life plan out for her. And he got so into it and he was so passionate about it that when he was done, he was able to save the business and set up a nest egg for his mother, and she was going to be okay. And he said it was such a profound experience to know what he did for his mom that he knew he wanted to do that for his career. Now, here he was with no experience in finance, no background, all these years in the paint business. What did he do? He created a bucket list of these companies, these financial services firms. And he was able to reach out to them, and we'll talk about how he did that in a little bit. And in conversations with them, tell this story about how they made it on his bucket list. What was the life experience that connected him to them? And wouldn't you know, everybody was completely happy to talk to him, interview him, and he is now working in the field. And he really had the job of his choice. So you can do this, folks, but it comes from that connection. You do need to know the kinds of companies that you're attracted to. And the only way you're going to learn that is to start to create a bucket list and look at it. Okay? All right, so bucket list homework. Who are you attracted to? And that leads us to step 3, because you can have this bucket list, but you've got to identify that mutual connection and look for patterns. So when we work with people, for example, they'll put 10 together and we'll start to see patterns like they were all companies that are really into green in the environment. Or they're all companies that really love to help children, or they're companies that are really interested in luxury brands, or they're really interested in a high-touch customer experience. There are going to be patterns. Those companies that you choose, you're probably going to see at least 1 or 2 themes, right, to them. And the way that you'll see that is because the problem that is bigger than you, there's a problem out there bigger than you that you can't solve by yourself, is something you and that company care about solving. That's what you want to ask yourself. So look for those themes and say, what's the problem that they're working on that's not going to be solved tomorrow? It's bigger than all of us. It's a problem. It's a big problem out there, hence why there's a business behind it. And why do I feel connected to that problem? What is the common connection? And that's how you're going to say, oh my gosh, look, the common connection is the environment. And the common connection is helping children. The common connection is creating a great customer experience instead of a bad one. The common connection is they all want to save people money. They're all the low cost or the most affordable option. It is amazing. The light bulbs will go off for you when you do this and you look at those problems that these companies solve. That's where you're going to find your connection point. And that will be pivotal for you because guess what? You've now weeded out all sorts of things that aren't a match for you where you don't feel the love connection. And that allows you to what? Focus in and start to find companies that you're aligned with so that you can interview and get jobs with them faster. This is what it's called. You know, this is really, I wish I could say that this is some sort of novel concept. Here we are, we studied this for 6 years, 5,000 people. And then once we looked at it closely, we said, you know, what's really funny is this is basic sales and marketing for a business. It's just for a business of one. A really good business knows what they're good at, knows who their market is, right? And knows the connection between them and their market, because that way they're going to be able to share that connection and make the sale, right? Make that happen. So this is very simple sales and marketing, but for you and your business of one, okay? So there you have it. Problem that is bigger than yourself, that you both care about solving, that's the light bulb moment, and you'll know that you've got your area of focus. Now what you can do is look for companies and people near you, in your location where you want to work, in your industry, in your field, that are focused on solving these problems. Now you have the opportunity to create a real list of opportunities of people that you'd like to work with. And that's going to lead us to step 4. You're going to leverage something called 6 degrees of separation. The truth is you are probably 6 people, less than, usually we find it's like 2 or 3 people away from meeting somebody in the industry you're interested in, at the company you're interested in the role that you're interested in. They're always only 2 or 3 at the tops, 6 degrees of separation away. It is incredible how that works. And there's tons of data to support this. You know, LinkedIn has been around now for enough years that they look at that data and they say it is those second and third connections. So the people that you know who knows someone that are helping people get jobs. That's where all of the job referral is happening. And you make that happen further and faster when you know who you're looking for, right? So here's what I have people do. It's really fun. I'm going to have you play a game of interview bingo. I call it info interview bingo. So informational interviews are something that you do. And if you don't know how to do them, there are tons of resources out there to teach you how to do this. But it's where you set up a meeting with someone to learn more about how they got where they are today in their career. And there are 5 groups. So if you think of a bingo card, there are 5 groups and you would have 5 people. And I am telling you that if you stick with me and you set up informational interviews with 5 people, 5 professionals in each of these 5 groups, you will absolutely, positively build and find your next opportunity. I swear to you on this, it is how it works, right? And probably even before you fill the entire bingo card. And that's because when you meet people who are connected to you and you do a good job info interviewing with them, that's how they get to know you. And that's how they can say, wow, you seem like a fit. Let me refer you to our hiring manager. Let me refer you to recruiting. Let me refer you to somebody else in the company who you could have a really good conversation with about this topic, right? So it's that simple. And to strategize your bingo card, I want you to think of it this way. The first group that you would strategize on is industry. So go back to your bucket list, take a look at your common connections and say, what industry am I interested in and am I connected to? And find 5 people in that industry that you can talk to. And then you want to talk to people in your skill set. That's number 2. So what's that skill set that I want to leverage? Going back to that persona, those strengths of mine, how I want to add value. I want to find 5 people who are in roles where they're leveraging that skill set, that persona. And I want to talk to them about what that work is like. Okay, so we've got industry, we've got skill set. Third one is geography. I want you to find people in your local area who have built their careers up to a place that you really admire. They don't have to be in the industry. They don't have to be in the skill set. They could very easily be in something unrelated, but boy, do you admire what they've done with their career. They really have achieved a level of success that you truly admire because they're going to teach you a lot. That's your third group. Okay, so geography. Your fourth group is obvious. It's the bucket list companies themselves. I want you to find employees, new hires, coworkers, people who just got jobs there. And I want you to talk to them specifically about how did you land that job? What do you think it takes to earn a job there? Do you have any insider tips? I want to earn one there potentially on my own, but I'd love to hear from you, right? So that fourth one is the actual companies on the bucket list, right? And the fifth one is alumni. You want to go back to your school, your alumni, and you want to find alumni who are in the industry or have the skill set, maybe in your geography, right? Or maybe they're just high profile and been really successful. Those other four categories that I just talked about. Fifth one is alumni. Find some alumni that you would like to have conversations with around that. So does that make sense to everyone? That's a pretty filled bingo card, but I am telling you, it is mind-blowing when you do this. Because if you can talk to 5 people in your industry, 5 people with your skill set, 5 people who have in the geography where you want to live and build a career, 5 people that have been hugely successful by your standards, and 5 people who are alumni of your organization, right, and related in one of those areas, you are going to have the most interesting conversations. Because what? Because you share something in common with them. And you're going to be able to tell them what? You're going to be able to tell them about your strengths, your personas. You're going to be able to tell them about the companies that you're attracted to and the kinds of problems they solve and why you're attracted to them, what taught them that you think that that's worthy to be attracted to. And through that conversation, that give and take, you're going to have a meaningful conversation that will build trust and respect. And this leads to referrals. And I cannot tell you how many times I have had people do this and say, you're not going to believe what happened, JT. You know, I interviewed here and lo and behold, I got the job. And I'll give you 2 quick examples and then we'll come back and we'll take some questions. I had one gal, she graduated from school with an anthropology degree, but late in school realized that she wanted to get into ESPN. She was a hockey player. She was passionate about sports. She wanted to work at ESPN. She's an anthropology major. There are entire sports management and sports marketing degrees out there that millions of kids are getting every year. She's got an anthropology degree. But what she did is she followed this interview bingo game, and she started finding people at ESPN who would connect with her based on a commonality, okay? And as she met with them and info interviewed, she'd ask, can you think of somebody else in the ESPN organization that I could have a meaningful conversation with about this? And they would refer her. And she did that 5 times. She met with 5 different people at ESPN before she graduated college. And she went home and she applied to jobs and whatnot. And out of the blue, she got a call from someone at ESPN who she'd never met, a manager, and said, here's the deal. I have a suddenly open position. I literally emailed all my colleagues and said, I have this unexpected opening for a recent grad position. Do you guys know anybody? And 3 people emailed your name and said that you met with them. And the fact that you met with 3 people was good enough for me. I'd like to interview you for the job. She interviewed for the job over the phone, got the job, and went to work for ESPN, right? I have another story. A young woman was working at a company. She was very unhappy. When she looked and did all these assessments, she realized she was fascinated with new technology. She was a programmer. She had been teaching herself this hot new technology that not a lot of people were using. And she said, that's what I really love, working these new technologies. She set up an informational interview. She found someone who was actually had this technology listed on their LinkedIn profile. He turned out to be local to her. She had coffee with him. And he said, you're not going to believe this, after he met with her and they talked about that. I am leaving the company I'm at. I am going over to this company and starting a new division for them because they need me to utilize this particular technology, and I get to hire my own staff. I want you to come interview with me for this job. Boom. She got the job. Now, I'm not going to say that this is going to happen to all of you the first time you info interview, but I am going to tell you that this is how it's happening every day. And that in the words of the great Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Failing to get out there and target with an info interview bingo card like this one is making your search for a job you love a lot harder. When you can focus in like this, you're going to have better conversations, you're going to earn trust and respect faster, and that's going to lead to referrals and opening up opportunities. It's called the hidden job market, folks. Those good jobs that you want out there, the jobs you love, they're not out there posted on the internet. They're not. When companies post, that's not the jobs that you want. You want the jobs that come through referral, through that actual connection. And it takes work, but it's fun. I have to tell you, once you master this process, people really feel empowered and they say, wow, I get to choose. I get to go find a job I love on my own terms instead of feeling like my hands are tied and I just have to take whatever job is out there. That doesn't feel good. That's not love. But to find love, you've got to commit to it. All right. So I want you to remember, what did I just teach you? Love is work, but it's so worth it. It's absolutely positively worth it. And what I'm going to do now is take questions. So remember, I'm just going to recap. Find what makes you attractive. Identify your personas. Figure out what you're attracted to. Start building that interview bucket list. Identify the connection between the two. Figure out that big problem that you both love to solve. And then play the info interview bingo game. Find those people in your industry, your skill set, your geography, right? Fantastic rock stars, and then alumni. Those 5, and pursue those options. And I promise you, you're going to start to find that love that you're looking for. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop there, Paige. I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay. All right. I'm back. Guys, thank you for this awesome discussion that's been happening. JT, you've been doing an amazing job. I'm super pumped. I think the energy is on level 100 today. So we have some questions already, but if you guys have any more, keep them coming. But we'll start off one from Michael Ward. This goes back to the bucket list of companies. How do you filter what is attainable and what isn't attainable on your bucket list? Like, should you be looking at the top companies, or is it worthwhile to look at the small 15-person companies too?
That's a great question. So you really shouldn't, going back to what makes a bucket list company, don't focus on their size, whether or not you think that they're attainable, okay? If you can really legitimately tell me that you are inspired every day by what Google does, and that you're not just in awe with the fact that they have a really great campus and they have really great perks, I get that every day. JT, I want a job with Google. 99% of those people are in lust with Google. They're not in love with Google. And they're not going to get a job with Google because Google can figure that out, right? There are lots of companies, big and small, these tiny companies, that are doing what you care about. So try to filter that and not assume, oh, I could never get into that company. It's too big for me. You don't know that. You have to find out whether or not you feel the love for what they do. And if you can clearly articulate that, well, then we'll figure it out. Plus, maybe not that company. But if you figure out that you like what they do, well, find the 5 companies in your local area that do what they do, right? If they're solving a problem that you care about, find the one that's solving that problem in your backyard.
That's a great answer. Thanks, JT. Okay, so back to the interview bingo. What are the, so I think this person asked, they know what questions to ask on an informational interview, but what are if you could pick only 3, what are the 3 best ones?
Yeah. So the thing to remember about an informational interview is this is you connecting with that person, right? Don't think about that this is a means to an end, or I'm just trying to get a job. I'm just trying to use this person. The intent of this is for you to get to know this person. So one question I love to ask is, tell me your story. How did you start out, and how did you get to where you are in your career today? Tell me that story, because we all have that story in our head. Every single one of us has this journey that we've been on in our career. And some of us tell a really great story. Some of us tell kind of a sad story. But usually if you're talking to somebody that you really admire, they've got a pretty good story up here. And so you want to hear that story because it's going to inspire you. So tell me your story is one of them. Second thing I would say is ask them, if there was a piece of advice you could give me, a lesson that you've learned in life that you wish you could pass on to somebody, something you would do differently or something you've learned, what is it? Because people love to give that advice. They do want to be able to share and what they've learned and how they've grown and give that to somebody else. So set them up for that opportunity to do that. That's going to make them feel really good. So what piece of advice could you give me based on what you've learned? And then the third thing you want to ask them is that, in your opinion, what does it take to earn a job with this company? And preface that by saying, I don't want you to refer me. I'm not asking for you to help me get a job, but I do want to know, in your opinion, what you think it took to get that job. How did you get the job? What made the difference? What advice would you give to somebody like me who wants to earn that position on their own? That's an important question, because you want to set the expectation between you and this person that you're not trying to get something from them other than information for you to do it yourself, because you are a do-it-yourself kind of person, right, folks? And so I also encourage that, because sometimes people will say, oh, I feel really bad. I feel like they're going to think I want something from them. Well, not if you set it up that way, not if you're very clear in the fact that, no, you plan to do this on your own, but you would love their advice or their insights. So those are the 3 that I would ask.
Cool. Awesome. Great answers. Let's see. So I did share the personas quiz with everybody in the chat, and a lot of people have been posting their answers and what they've gotten. And I know you have the videos up there, but what happens if you're in a bunch of different categories, if you're pretty spread out? Yeah. I was spread out too. Yeah. So you're going to find that you're spread out, but you're usually 1 to 3 are your top.
right? So a great way to ask yourself that. So, and one of the things that the videos will do, so what'll happen now is you're access to all the videos and you can look at it, and we have some more resources, and pretty soon we're going to have a free course on the site that you can take. So circle back with us and we'll share that with you. But one of the things you want to look at is when you think about a time in your life when you were in what we call a state of flow. So work didn't feel like work, you lost track of time, all of a sudden hours had passed and you were so caught up in the energy of what you were doing. You felt so in the zone. We've heard that a lot. You should write that experience out and try to find at least 2 times in your life where you were in that zone and write out in detail what you did. And then ask yourself, read it back to yourself and say, what persona was I using or personas? You will be amazed at how quickly you will see what you were leveraging. It is that easy. And if you're really stuck, then you find somebody that you trust to read it to and work with them, or you work with a coach. But I've yet to find somebody who can't look at it closely enough and say, oh my gosh, I was using the builder persona there clearly, right? Or I was using the super connector persona there. So you've got to think about those times in your life where you were in that state of flow, but write it out to yourself as a story and then read it back and you'll see which one.
Sure. Okay. This is an interesting question. Does this process work for older job seekers, and if they're talking north of the 40-year range?
Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how much this works for the older job seeker. Keep in mind, folks, I was in HR and staffing until the age of 33. And it was the birth of my first child where I had the aha moment that I was actually completely miserable in what I was doing, and I was not being true to myself. And how was I going to spend another 20 years doing what I was doing when I was her teacher? She was going to see that I didn't enjoy it. So the whole reason I became a career coach was because there were no materials. I went to go look for materials for career reinvention and I couldn't find anything. And I'm an engineer by degree. I have a degree in engineering psychology, which is human factors and design. So I decided to put the degree to work and I said, there's a way to do this. And that's what led me on this journey to figure it out. We have worked with so many people in their 40s and their 50s because those individuals know what they don't want. Right? You all have had a lot of experience who are out there listening going, I know what I don't want. But you know what? You've never really thought about what you do want. You've never been given the opportunity to even dream or imagine that. Because for years now, you've been doing what? Oh, I need a new job. I'm going to go to a job board. I'm going to pick out something that's there. Don't really have a choice. It's only what's available. All right. Oh, I'm really going to try to get that job because I need that job. You've never really been given the chance to experience love of a job and a career. And you need to do these steps in order to find that. So absolutely works for older workers. You got to embrace it.
Sure. All right. There's a ton of questions coming in, so you might have to give me a second. Keep them coming, guys. Let's see. I guess kind of to follow up on the older one, what about freelancers? Would you say a similar situation?
You know, if you're going to be a successful freelancer, you really need to know your personas. I can tell you that right away because you're always seeking. Every job is temporary for all of us, but even more so for a freelancer. And for you to stay employable, for you to minimize the amount of days where you're not working, you have to know exactly what your strengths are and who needs those. So honestly, anybody out there that's thinking about being a freelancer, you above all else have to know what your persona is and specifically how you leverage that to save or make a company money.
Sure. Okay. Let's see. There's a couple of these questions have been, what happens if you have a bunch of loves, a lot of places that you love?
Yeah. So if you have a lot of companies that you love, that's a great problem to have. You want to start looking at the patterns there. Okay. So look for that theme and see if there's one theme that's predominant out of all of them. That would help you narrow down your search as well. You do have people who I would say are Renaissance professionals. They love working on something for a while and then they suddenly get bored with it and they're ready to move on. These are individuals that are actually well suited for freelance work, because that pressure of always having to find something new and move on will really suit you and that need. Otherwise, you could get someplace and feel sort of stifled after a couple of years. Here's the good news, though. Companies, all of us are finally embracing the every job is temporary mindset. You've got companies like LinkedIn that literally refer to them as tours of duty. You know, you're not supposed to stay someplace your entire life. You should be going into work environments knowing that. So stop thinking about, oh, I'm finding a job I love and it's going to be happily ever after for the rest of my life. That's not this love story. The love story I'm talking about is you finding a job you love and knowing how to keep finding a job you love as opposed to being unhappy. So we're teaching you to fish for love for a lifetime.
Sure. Okay, there are a few people. We've got a bunch of shout outs from Asia and UK, so everyone says hello.
Hi, everyone. So glad to have you here.
Good. Okay. So this question is, and we've had a couple similar to it too. So someone is going to go work overseas soon by a recruitment company. So they're new to the industry, but how do you add value when you work in a totally different work environment and culture?
Yeah. So when you are in a different work environment and culture, the fact that you are even asking that question, cheers to you. That means you're emotionally aware to know that that matters, because connecting with your coworkers and being able to add value is utmost important. So my advice to you is to spend time with as many people as you can, getting to know them. One of the things that I always say is when you're in a new environment, a new job for the first 90 days, meet with as many people as you can and say, how does my job connect with your job? How do you see my job working with your job? And more importantly, what can I do in my job that makes your job easier? Because if you can help everyone in that organization in some way, and they know that the work that you're doing is connected to their work and makes their job easier in some way, guess what? You've just made yourself indispensable. But you're not going to know that unless you ask. So be proactive. A lot of people make the mistake, they get into a new job and they say, well, they need to train me and they need to teach me what I need to know to be good. And, how am I supposed to know that? They're paying you to do a job. Go ask. Take control. Find the answers. You want to exceed their expectations. You want to deliver value. Reach out. Learn what people need and deliver. You do that, you're going to be just fine.
Very awesome. Cool. Okay. This is a pretty important one. Given that people are busy, especially in your dream bucket list companies too, how do you motivate them to meet with you for an informational interview?
So one of the things that's going to help you is the fact that you've done all this legwork that we've been talking about. So if you are reaching out to somebody, you're not doing it blindly, are you? Right? This is no cold calling here. This is no Tinder. We don't have to worry about any of that random love here, to give some analogies. You're reaching out to that person because you share an interest, you share a skill set, or you share a love for the industry, or you share a love for that company, you share a love for your school, you share a love for the location where you live. That's your lead, right? Hey, we both have this in common. Here's why I really admire you. I would love the opportunity to info interview with you. That is statistically going to increase the chances that someone says yes, because you've done your homework and you're making some really solid points. That being said, people are going to say no. It's a numbers game, right? In bingo, they don't call the number and you hit the card and fill it in the first try, folks, right? So you might have to ask 5 people to get 2 to agree to meet with you. So what? If the 3 say no, but 2 said yes, you got 2 to say yes. And you do that long enough, you're going to fill your card. And you're going to fill your card, you're going to have good conversations. Good conversations lead to connections. Connections lead to opportunity. So just play that numbers game. Quality effort, quality outreach. Understand not everyone will say yes, but you keep going until you fill your card.
Cool. This is a great question from Daniela, and it's very situational too, but we've had a few other people kind of relate to it as well. How do you do a career switch and keep your LinkedIn profile as well as your skills still relevant, like completely career switch?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I actually did a session for LinkedIn on this very subject for their job seeker group. And the one thing that I can tell you is that when you are changing careers, it's like going on you're on the Autobahn highway going 90 miles an hour. You do not just switch lanes without blinker, right? You got to turn the blinker on. You got to let the cars behind you know that you're moving over into the lane. When we are making a career change, we need to signal. We need to raise our hand. We need to let the world know. Now that can be challenging for some of you because you say, well, if I change my profile on LinkedIn, people are going to know what's up. And I'm in a job right now. It doesn't mean that you have to publicly signal on LinkedIn. Ideally, you should. You should rebrand your profile. You should have all the right keywords for your new industry. In a perfect world, you should. But for those few who cannot, who it's a risk for their career, you're going to have to signal privately. So that bingo card I just talked about becomes 10 times more important to you because you have to be able to have private conversations, offline conversations with people and say, here's what I'm planning to do. I'm planning to make a career change. I would love your perspective on that. So you're going to look for people who have made this career change. That's another group to add to your interview bucket list. And you're going to have those private conversations. You'll be amazed how many people want to help you. But again, ideally, you do make those changes publicly. If you can't, you got to ramp up that interviewing.
Sure. Okay. How do you resist temptation between a job that you're lusting after and one that you love, especially if you're currently unemployed or if the pay is completely different?
Yeah. So a couple of things about lusting jobs. I always tell people if a job's too good to be true, it's a hot job, it probably there's something going on there. So for example, if they're offering you an obscene amount of money, that's hazard pay. There's a reason for that. Okay, just remember that. And it's not to say that maybe you want to take that less job. Maybe you're just not in the mood for a deep love relationship with your career at the moment. Okay, but set the expectation. Recognize, I'm going to take this job for a little while. I'm going to take it for the money. I'm going to take it for the benefits. I know what I'm doing. And in that time, I'm going to commit to preparing myself to go find that job I really love. I'm going to put that money away. I'm going to be smart about this because I know that over time, I'm going to fall out of lust with that job. It always happens. And it's usually pretty sudden. So you get this job that you're lusting after, you're digging all the perks, and all of a sudden one day you wake up and go, the perks aren't that exciting anymore. The pay is hazard pay, and I'm miserable going into work every day. And it's like it goes like this. And then you're in trouble because emotionally you're really drained, and it's hard to rally to find a new job, right? Because now you're drained. So you have got to prepare yourself for that day. So when it hits, you can mobilize and you can go find a job that you love, right? So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying prepare yourself for what's going to happen down the line and be ready.
Sure. All right. Let's see. Keep these questions coming, guys. What if you love the job, but you don't feel like you fit in the company's culture?
Interesting. So if you love the job, that's a great thing. If you don't feel like you fit in the company's culture, I think that's a conversation with your boss. I think you need to have a quiet conversation with your boss and say, I love this job. Let me tell you why I love this job, why I love this company. But my gut is telling me I don't feel like I fit in. Are there things that I can do to be more of a fit? A lot of times your managers don't know that. Your head is down, you're doing your work, you seem happy, you like your job. I don't know that you're not feeling like you fit in, right? But if you come and tell me and you say, I'd love counsel on what I can do. So this isn't your problem, Mr. or Miss Manager. I'm not dumping this on you and saying, I don't feel like I fit in, fix it for me. I'm saying, I don't feel like I fit in. What do you think I could do to feel like I fit in? Because then the manager will be on the lookout for that and will create more opportunities for you to feel that way. And you may also find out the manager says, yeah, I'm not feeling like you are fitting in and I'd like to see you do this, this, and this. So that's a really constructive conversation to have because you want to keep the job because you like it, right? So don't shy away from those conversations, folks. If you're not feeling the love, but you like the job, but you're not sure about the fit, you need to have that conversation, but take, again, ownership of it. I want to do better. I really want to feel connected here. What can I do?
Sure. And I guess following up on that, if you are an introverted type of person and it's not easy to reach out to your boss or to these people you're going on informational interviews, what suggestions do you have?
Yeah, so there's a lot being written out there and worked on for introverts, which excites me because I think that group for a long time has been misunderstood. A lot of introverts, believe it or not, get misinterpreted as they don't care. Oh, they're fine. They're happy with what they are, or even aloof, right? And what we know about introverts is they're actually very caring, very feeling individuals, but they don't want to necessarily say anything because they feel like they don't want to be misinterpreted. And so it's even more reason for you to learn techniques where when the time is right, you can be proactive and find a way to reach out and get those answers that you need. No one is asking you to change your personality. We don't want you to change who you are. But you do need certain skills for your type, if you're an introvert, to be able to get the information that you need and connect with your boss in a way so that they understand you better, right? That's not on them. It's on you. You want to be understood, folks. You're the business of one. Find the way to connect with them. And again, like I said, there's a lot of great resources on there. We have some great coaches that are writing about introverted stuff on our own site. Really read up on it, but most importantly, get involved with your manager.
Very cool. Okay. And how do you deal with being laid off from a job that you love due to reorganization? So no fault of your own.
Yeah. So first of all, most important thing to remember is that it's the job, it's not you. Okay, because we take that kind of stuff personally. When you've been laid off or fired or whatever, it can be a blow. So process that and then say to yourself, let's think about the good things here. I love that job. I love that company. I was lucky enough to have love. That's a good thing to start with. And if I could find it once, I can find it again, right? You absolutely can. So here's the good news. We say in love of human beings, oh, you have your one true love. It's not like that in the job search world. What did I say? We're teaching you to fish for love. You can go find another one out there. Absolutely. Take a look at what you loved about that job. Take a look about your strengths that you were leveraging. Go find other companies. And ironically, I'll tell you, in a lot of those restructurings, if you go and you find that new job, what will probably happen to you is you'll find a new job that you love, and guess who's going to come knocking on your door one day? Hey, we can hire you back. Would you want to come back? then it'll be up to you to decide if you want to go back or not, right? You might be in love with the new place even more. So go find your next love. You'll be just fine because you've already found it once. You know what to do.
Awesome. Well, JT, thank you so much. And guys, thanks for all the great questions and for an awesome presentation.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for all the participation, everyone. I really appreciate it. I hope that you'll all connect with me. In fact, if it's okay, I'm just going to put my contact information up there. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Sure. Let's put that up there so that you can all reach out to me. Look, I love to connect with people. And I will tell you that the most important thing to do is tell me that we were here and talking and connecting. What do we teach? Personalization. You taught that today. Tell me how we connected. You can find me on Twitter and on LinkedIn, and there's my email address, even throwing that out there for the world. But I want to thank Longwood University and their alumni department specifically for putting on an amazing week. This is really spectacular, gang, for them to put something together concentrated like this. This is like summer camp for grown-ups. You're knocking it out of the park this week with some great info. So I hope that you participated this week. You'll check out Stacy's Apart tomorrow. And most importantly, just keep at it. Good luck. The fact that you were here already shows that you're a winner. So I'm sure you're going to find a job that you love.
Absolutely. And JT, thank you so much. And once again, my name is Paige Rollins, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn too. I'm going to go ahead and post some links in the chat bar over here and show you guys some things. So if you do want to watch JT's presentation again, we do have it recorded. Let me go ahead and show you again. So on our Longwood University page, which is the first link that I shared, you can go ahead and watch all of the different presentations from LinkedIn Influencers Week. On here, we've got information about everybody, as well as the videos and presentations. And if you are a Lancer tuning in today, feel free to explore some of the things that we have going on. So we have this 1 hour a month program where you can connect with your alma mater in a brand new way, whether it's just sharing a photo, taking us on your travels, or extending an informational interview with a current student or fellow alumni. But we can thank you guys so much again for participating. If you are interested in helping us keep this content free in the future and helping us keep it one of a kind and unique for all of you, feel free to visit give.longwood.edu/digital events. Your gift helps us keep this free and helps us plan an even better week for next year, although I don't know how we're going to top it. So feel free to join us for tomorrow and our last day of LinkedIn Influencers Week with Stacy Zapar tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So it's a bit of a time change. Once again, thank you so much, JT. It was nice to hang out with you again. Guys, thanks so much, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Ciao, everyone.